welcome to the November 2018 webcast. We are not in the United States for the first time ever on a webcast, which is freaking awesome. Super excited, right? We're just across the border in Canada, hanging out in Vancouver with the awesome Sticky Notes team. We'll do a round of introductions here in just a moment. But I gotta say, like, the trip across the border was like flawless. It was super fast. We got to the border. We waited in line maybe 4 minutes to cross over. It was super fast. I've never made it across the border in either direction that quickly. And it was really funny because we had to hand them passports, and they're like, "Oh, hey, where are you going? A work trip, okay." And it was like, "What's that in the back seat?" And I was like, "So that's the beam machine." And the border agent was like, "You have to bring the computer." "Oh no, the webcam is doing it." See, it is the webcam. And so we had to have a conversation about what the beam machine was, why it existed, and she wanted to make sure that we were bringing it back to the U.S. with us. So, yeah. Anyway, this is not going to fly. So give me a second. I'm going to work on the webcam. It's always something. I'm telling you, it's always something. I'm going to switch USB ports, and I may have to do a quick reconfigure. We will see what happens. So, okay. Well, there we go. All right, so we're back. That was fun. Yeah, this webcam saga, I'm just going to get a new webcam. Like, we're just going to solve it that way. Microsoft LifeCam Studio. Hey, if it'll do 4K, I will give it a consideration, especially if it's a Microsoft product.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Okay, so that's probably not going to happen. Anyway, so let's get this show on the road. Enough rambling and talking. Thank you for joining us. We're gonna have a lot of fun today. So first up, right? You know who I am. I'm Jason. That's Brandon. Those of you that know Joe and Jen and the rest of the crew, they are in chat. They are still kicking it in Redmond this week. So let's just start around the table.
Okay.
Who wants to go first?
Show this and then.
Oh, you want to pull up the slide? Yeah. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, actually, no. Let's listen. See everyone. I think
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. You guys want to start?
Have at it.
I'm Pele. Been Microsoft for 4 years, working on Sticky Notes. I'm from Denmark, living in Vancouver.
I'm Dominic, same time as Pelle, minus 2 weeks.
Yeah.
From Germany, living in Vancouver, working on Sticky Notes, previously OneNote, both kind of.
Yeah, hi.
Hi guys, I'm Rimon. I'm from Egypt. I've been here for in Microsoft for 8 years and worked on different things, and now I'm working on Sticky Note.
Hey folks, I'm Reza. I've been at Microsoft 4 years. Pele and I actually started on the same day, and I've been working on Sticky Notes and OneNote. Originally from Iran, and I've lived in 3 continents.
And we have one more.
And we have a special guest.
Yes.
Ooh! Who's that?
Hey guys, I'm Keith. I'm a PM working on Sticky Notes. I'm actually down in Redmond, but I'm joining via the Taco Robot. So thanks for tuning in.
Yes, I gotta take a moment and highlight how fantastic this is. I personally had never seen one of these until I showed up today, and it randomly comes rolling in the room while we're getting set up, and I'm like, what? It just comes in waving, and I'm like, oh my goodness, of course. And then what else were we gonna do with the taco hat, right? I usually wear it. It hangs under the table. There was no other option but to put it on the robot. So, that's kind of the way that's going to be today. So it's like that. Not that surprises anybody. Hopefully it doesn't surprise anybody in the room. Nobody in the chat should be surprised, but that's how today's going to go. So, it's going to be a lot of fun. Obviously, we're going to be talking about Sticky Notes, talk about the history of the product, the way it functions, obviously the awesome team that's working on it. But I won't steal the thunder, Reza. I know you've got a fantastic presentation you've put together. But I do want to highlight real quick I don't even know what to call it, the broad reach of the team globally. Mm-hmm. Obviously we're sitting here in Vancouver, in British Columbia, in Canada, right? But there's folks in Redmond, folks here in Canada.
We have folks in Berlin, we have in London, and we have in Hyderabad.
In India.
Yeah.
So this team is so broad and so spread out. I can only imagine some of the fun meeting times,
Yeah.
trying to schedule.
I've had 7 a.m. meetings. I've had 11:30 p.m. meetings. Yeah, not the best time, but we gotta do what we gotta do.
Sometimes back to back.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my goodness! Just stay up and all night, just pull an all-nighter. Just if you drink enough of a Diet Mountain Dew, you can do anything. Anyway, let me go ahead and get the demo queued up, so you can get your presentation rolling. Let me pull that up. Wait, where? Oh, did it get mixed up? Oh yeah, these got
There we
swapped.
go.
Okay, I'm just gonna leave it. Oh, okay, perfect. All right.
Okay. So we also have a guest that's gonna come up later in the call. Laura Cat PJ, who is VP of Notes and Tasks, is gonna drop by in the middle of the call as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop it. And then yeah, I think that would be awesome.
All right.
So as I mentioned, we are a very geo-diverse team. We have presence in Vancouver, Redmond, Berlin, in Hyderabad, and also in London. There are not a lot of people in each of these locations, but we are pretty spread around the globe. I want to start with one question. Does anyone knows what's the code name for sticky notes is?
Notes as Rafi does.
I'm gonna give one hint. It is actually the name of our database file. Has anyone seen our database file? You can find it in this address.
I don't think I can type that into the registry fast enough.
Okay, it's actually called Plum, and it started because we are part of the Office org, and in the Office org there's a tradition that every product's code name is a fruit, and of course Plum is purple, and we are the Note business, and OneNote is purple, so it is a perfect fit for us. So yeah, we used to be called Project Plum.
Was grape already taken?
Yeah, that question actually came up multiple times. Like, why not grape? But I don't know. We did it.
Eggplant. You got options for future projects. I'm just saying.
Yeah, if more notes come, yeah, we can go other stuff. Yeah. So let's just go back in the history and see what was the history of sticky notes. We kind of started with Windows sidebar. Who remembers that? I do. Who has been using sticky notes in sidebar back in Windows Vista?
I used to love the sidebar.
Yeah, my favorite was the calendar back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was awesome.
Is this where I have to make one of my crazy admissions that I never intentionally installed Vista on any computer? I don't think I've ever actually said that publicly before, especially not on a webcast. I never installed Vista on any of my machines. I stayed on XP until 7 came out, and then I just jumped clean over Vista. Right. I'm just saying. I'm probably going to catch some flack for that, but oh well.
I mean, I never installed it, but I bought a laptop that had Vista on it.
And did you get rid of it?
Yeah, I did that too. I got a laptop that had Vista. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go switch to the 7. Yeah. So we used to be a widget back in Windows Vista, and then when Windows 7 came, it became actually a dedicated app on which was a V32 app, and it came and with a beautiful font that a lot of people love it.
Okay.
Why not? You don't like it? You don't like the comic sounds? I think it's a great font. Sure, yeah. But that's when it was back in Vista and Windows 7. Actually, our team was not responsible for it. We took over when we started building the next version that got announced in build 2016. Who saw the keynote? Actually, the keynote of build 2016 started with a sticky note. That was pretty cool. Like I remember, all of us were tuned in. We were so nervous because the app still was not ready. There were so many bugs. So we had a perfect scenario that we knew it's gonna work, but still we were so nervous. And we were watching it and it worked. I was like, okay, it worked, no problem. Yeah, it was quite nerve-wracking, and it was also a dramatic change because we basically rewrote the app. We want to use a modern tech stack, so we did a lot of stuff there, and it was quite nerve-wracking for us. So like we started doing some shell integration. We worked with Ink Workspace to kind of have better ink integration. We did some stuff with Cortana to folks being able to create reminders, and we introduced the concept of insights in the sticky note. And yeah, it was pretty cool. We started with that, and then in the few months after that, we had a lot of follow-up updates because, of course, with writing a new app comes a lot of bugs and a lot of features that didn't hit the time. So yeah, it took a while, but we got there. And then after a while, we kind of realized that, we made a lot of mistakes writing this code. So we came up with version 2.0 that we can call it Rewrite Edition because we practically rewrote the app from the scratch again. Like during these, during the past, the year before that we were building the app, we had a lot of learning, and we figured out like what are the best, better ways of building a UWP app. And that's how we basically started working on the Rewrite Edition. That came up, I think, with RS3. But it was also backporting to RS2 as well, so like RS2 folks could get it through Windows Store updates. And then it had a few new features. We had the bullet list in it. We had a new map view for the insight that were based on map, and also we fixed a lot of bugs, like a lot of them. Yeah, and then one thing that I want to mention is that when you guys leave feedback for us, we actually try our best, and we usually read all of them. We read read them on Feedback Hub. We read your reviews. We check posts that people post on answers.microsoft.com. We read tweets. And a while ago, we had actually a meeting inside the team, and we wanted to kind of show each team would present what they have been working on in the past quarter. And we actually compiled a little video based on the reviews that we have received from you guys. So I thought it might be fun to actually see it together.
Oh, no audio.
Uh-oh.
Oh, okay. Let's figure that out. Maybe I can just play the audio from here.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm not gonna lie, I was that guy. I was the sticky notes all over the monitor guy, to the point that I couldn't use my computer. But as soon as I got this laptop and had sticky notes, my life became better. My depression went away. My wife came back. My son rose from the dead. I won the lottery. And I finally bought a reasonably priced Pomeranian puppy.
I opened the sticky notes thing and they got rid of the ugly font. Finally.
Tamil Lalua says the comics type font was much better.
You're not going to please anybody.
Yeah, there's no way.
Brian says, best game ever. Hours of endless.
That's the best.
It sucks. I like nothing about it. What I hate about it would be too long to tell. This app is irritating, to put it mildly. People who worked on it did not use their brains. I downloaded TK8 notes and loved them. But if you want to know what is a good sticky note app, learn from them, you dummies.
Brian says, best game.
Hold on, I gotta pause it right there because it's really. Okay, best game ever. Okay, that's just hilarious, right? But your outtake, you get like halfway into the sentence, and it's even better because you're sitting here in the room with this. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I just had to mess with you a little
so
bit.
if you want to know like what motivates me to come to work every day, working on the best game ever.
Oh my goodness! Awesome ones. So we had to cut it actually short to 2 minutes video. So yeah, maybe later on we come up with a new video with more reviews. But yeah, it was great.
Oh my goodness! I just want to say I can't even, with the amount of feedback that's in this feedback hub, we could definitely like make some mean tweets and stuff out of the feedback hub. Oh my goodness, yeah, there's some real gems in there. Anyway, sorry, I just
someone actually submitted in feedback hub. Brandon sucks.
What? Really?
Yeah.
It's not anybody that's watching on the webcast right now because nobody would do that.
And then someone internally is saying, "Are you planning on fixing this bug?" Yeah.
Oh my
I'll get
goodness.
right on that.
Oh my goodness! All right, sorry, I'm distracting from your presentation. Let me get you back on track here.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. So yeah, that brings us to Sticky Note version 3.0 that we published a few months ago. When was it that we published it? 3.0 came.
I want to say it's about like a month ago.
Full production was a month ago.
Okay.
We started Insiders, I think, July, August.
Okay, yeah. This version was very close to our heart because we really wanted to make sure that we can get notes everywhere for you guys. We want to make sure that notes that you take on your desktop, it goes, first of all, syncs to the cloud and you can get them on the other desktop. But of course, as now you know, it's not just about desktop. Notes will come everywhere that you are. That's why we call it Everywhere Edition. And with this one, we also had some new formatting UI bar that you can use for like making stuff bold and italic and do formatting. We added the hub that you can have, that you can see all of your notes, and then you can pick and choose what you want to actually stick to your desktop. And then we added the charcoal note that was the start of going dark. And I think Jen especially would really like that. Yeah. And of course, we did roaming. We started syncing your notes, and also we worked a lot on accessibility because it's very important for us to make sure that everyone can use our notes and they can access the notes. So we actually spent a lot of time on working on accessibility issues and making sure that the app has a fantastic experience for people who want to use ease of access or narrator. Yeah. And then it came 3.1 with dark mode. I really like this. I think this
Dark mode, everything.
Yeah, when the designers showed this to us, I was like, oh my god, this is fantastic. I really like this.
So I have a personal question. How hard was it to actually implement dark mode into this broad-based scenario? Like, I'm assuming it wasn't just, oh, hey, I'm just going to switch this from, light color to this, dark gray. Like,
yeah, it took a while to figure out exactly how we want to do it because Sticky Note is such a colorful app that it's kind of hard to suddenly make it dark. Like, which part would you make dark? Like, we started with making a dark note, and that would cover a lot of scenarios, but there are people that want to go even more dark. And so, for example, we want to figure out how we can make the hop dark. And with making a hop dark, then it becomes a little weird if you have a lot of colorful notes. So there was a lot of design challenges to figure out what's the best way of making this happen. But yeah, it took a lot of iterations, and I wish we had some of our designers here. They could have been talking about it as well. But it took a while. But I think I really love the outcome. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. Like, it's a gorgeous setup.
Yeah, and then we also made sure that you can set it up to work with the Windows settings. So when you change the Windows to become dark mode, it will switch to dark mode. And when you go light, it goes light. But also we added special settings in the app that you can also pick and choose. That like maybe in a sticky note you want to be light while the OS is in dark mode. So we also added that. This is still in the skip ahead. We are fine tuning and fixing the final bugs, but hopefully we will have it in production very soon. Yeah.
Awesome.
So let's go back to sticky notes everywhere, and what we mean by that. Everywhere basically for us means bringing the notes where you are instead of instead of you needing to go to a place to take notes. So instead of having another place that you have to go to take notes, we're trying to see where are the places that you need to take note, and we bring the note-taking experience there. And of course, mobile is a huge thing. for quickly capturing ideas and thoughts. So one of the first places that we thought it would be a great idea to do it was putting it in OneNote. So now, as you guys have probably seen in the news, or maybe you have already got it on your mobile devices, now we have sticky notes in Android and iOS inside the OneNote app, which is fantastic. Now, I don't like the notes that I take on my desktop. I can always just pick up the app and then see in there, or like when I'm on the go, I can take notes, and when I come to the office, I can see my notes there, which is great. What's that about? Okay.
Can be a widget on my laptop.
But of course, it's not just about those two experiences. We want to make sure that, like, being everywhere doesn't mean it's only on phone. So we want to make sure that we have a great presence on web. So actually, a part of the team, that part of it is in Redmond and part of it is in Berlin. They are working on the web version, and it's already you can access it through OneNote.com/sticky notes. And of course, yeah, you can see your notes there. And we are also building a fantastic sync pipeline, so the notes should sync really fast across these. We actually have a live channel that kind of sends notifications very quickly, so when you're typing your note, you should get the changes across your devices very quickly. And make sure you give this a shot, because it's pretty awesome to have it on a sticky on the website. Especially for the folks that they're still using Windows Phone, I think this is a great way to be able to access your notes.
Or Linux.
Or Linux, yeah, that is true. Yeah, that is correct. Yeah. But soon, there's more. We are actually developing an add-on that right now we are testing it inside OneNote. So this add-on basically lets you use the sticky notes inside other products. So we started, of course, with OneNote because it's very close to us, and we are part of the note experience together. So this add-on basically shows the notes that you're taking on other devices and also bring it to here, and then you can interact with them. You can transfer the content from the plugin to the OneNote page and vice versa. Like take a sticky note from a part of OneNote that you have, and then you can stick it on your desktop. But this is not the only thing, of course. This plugin would start showing up in other products. It's gonna show up in Outlook. Like right now, everyone knows that the note experience in Outlook desktop is a little dated, just a little, not too much.
there was actually, I'll just say it now.
Yeah.
Like there's actually, we did take some pre-submitted questions. If you happen to be on Twitter, I sent out a link so you could go in and drop some of it. There's actually a question to that regard. So I'll touch on it again later. But
Yeah. So we want to make sure that we have a modern experience inside Outlook as well. So yeah, this add-on will gradually come to Outlook and of course other products inside Microsoft. And a lot of people have been asking for this. Microsoft Launcher is going to take sticky notes as well. So I'm sure the Android folks are familiar with the launcher. Here our goal was to really make sure we make the quick capturing of ideas and thought as fast as possible. So like if you have the launcher, you basically see your notes right there in the glance screen. And then when you want to take a note, you just press the plus button and you go to the noting experience, and then you can start taking your notes. So this is going to come up hopefully soon as well, which is very exciting for us.
Oh, hey, I do have a good question that somebody just popped up, and since
Okay.
we're kind of talking about this like integrated experience,
Yeah.
right? Will it work with Office Online?
Absolutely.
Oh,
That
right.
plugin that shows in OneNote, that plugin is usable also in Office Online. So we're gonna add it to multiple Office products online as well. It's just a matter of time. It's not why, or it's not the if. It's just a matter of when it's gonna happen. Yeah.
Beautiful. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And yeah, if folks, if you guys have any questions, just type them in and we answer them as we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, if there's well, to that point, like if there's questions that are just kind of scattered, I'm capturing those, and we'll go through those in the Q&A.
Okay.
If there's something related to whatever you happen to be talking about, I'll just interject.
Awesome.
Cool.
Cool. Who likes to geek out?
I do.
Yeah, you do? Yeah, I do too. So we're gonna show you some stuff that are kind of weird about our app, and then explain what's going on and why we did things these ways, and then what's coming next about them. So if you have noticed, Sticky Note looks kind of weird for a universal app. Like starting with just this title bar. The title bar of Sticky Notes is not normal. Like you have a plus button there. There is no maximize or minimize. There is a 3-dot button that you can use to like go to the menu. And it was very important for us to have something like this because we want to make sure that people can quickly take note. So we just want to have a button there that you can easily press. But this took a lot of work. So during RS1, we were actually working with a lot of folks inside the Shell team and Ink Workspace to make sure that they add some customization for us so we can have this different experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing that what we want to do was to have a way that you can all see all of your notes together simultaneously. So like when you do Alt-Tab and you go to Sticky Notes, suddenly all of them pop up to your view, so you don't have to go through them and find them. So we kind of built, like the Shell team kind of built an experience that there was a hidden window, and all of the Sticky Notes were kind of children of that hidden window. So that's why when you like do Alt-Tab, you actually see something like this. It just is an icon of a sticky note. You can't really see all of your notes inside the, when you do Alt-Tab, or like you go to Tab Switcher, you only see one thing. And back then, I think it was a great decision for us because we wanted to make sure that you can quickly get all of your notes. But when we started working on this sync engine and then adding this hub experience that you pick and choose which notes you want to put on desktop, we thought that it doesn't really make sense to have that because you want to be able to switch between like notes and hub. You want to kind of be able to have one of the notes in the view instead of everything, and like that hub window, especially if it's a you're on a smaller screen, you don't want to lose that real estate all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So we are trying to now, we're working with the Shell team again to make some alternative APIs that are going to come hopefully in 19H1 that would expose these capabilities that you can have similar to the normal apps. So for example, you can, inside this tab switcher, you'll see all of your open notes and hub, and then you can move them to different desktops if you want. But at the same time, it still gives us these special capabilities to have like customized title bar and stuff like that. The folks actually, Dom and Ramon have been working on this for a while with some of the folks in Shell team. In the following blog post that we're gonna have, we're gonna send some links to the that explains how these API work. There is actually a fantastic talk that was happening in the Build conference. Mm-hmm. We're gonna send a link to that, and if anyone is interested to get to know these APIs more, I would strongly suggest to watch that video.
Yes, yeah. I think also to answer the question here, the APIs is going to be available for all developers. That's correct. Yeah. So
yeah.
So you guys, it's going to be consumed by Sticky Note, but also you will have access to the same APIs.
Yeah. Back in RS1 when we started it, we are trying to learn what are the stuff that are needed. So we had a preview API, but now we are trying to I've had a lot of experience in the past couple of years. So these new APIs are gonna be public now.
Yeah. So our goal is really to become a standard app, use standard APIs, which means some of these things will just work out of the box, like moving one sticky note to a different desktop, or having the Windows system menu for like moving things, snapping a sticky note, some DPI fixes and all this kind of stuff. Plus hopefully also some stability things. I don't know if anybody noticed, but if Explorer crashes, your sticky notes crash too. There's a reason for that. Yeah, and also some new future scenarios. So these APIs, it's kind of a funny story. So Ramon and also we actually not only work with the Shell people in the Windows system, but we actually write code in the operating system. Good old C++.
That's right.
Which is a fun experience. It's actually not as bad as you might think. Like they use modern tools. They use Git. You run some stuff on some VMs, so it's not as bad as it sounds. So it's definitely an experience.
Yeah, we wrote beautiful features for you, for the developers out there, and you guys will get access to them. I think we should not announce them until the entire thing get announced. But when all the APIs are announced, you guys will see some capabilities, and you can access them too. And part of them, Dom and I wrote in the show.
Yeah. So the APIs are not secret or anything. Like one thing, for example, is like this window anchoring that Sticky Notes has, like where you create a new window and it anchors to your previous window. Yeah, this is all going to become public APIs, and right now we're just making sure that it's going to be there at a time so that we in Sticky Notes can use those new APIs, and then they will be available for everybody else as well.
Yeah, and like this whole concept of a stickiness, that you can stick a window to a place in the desktop, that is that capability that does not exist right now in the UWP API. So that also comes to the platform that we kind of give access to you guys if you're developing, so you can remember where your window exists, and whenever you launch the app again, your windows could go back to those places. Yeah. But definitely tune into that talk. It's a fantastic talk. I actually came across it. One of the nights that I had insomnia. I get a lot of insomnia. I was just playing in Twitter. I was like seeing what's going on, and then I saw a build talk about windowing. I was like, oh, we do a lot of special windowing in our app. Let's see what's going on. So I watched it. I was like, oh my god, we need to talk about this. So I just tweeted back to him like, we need to talk about this, and then we started talking. And yeah, it has been a fantastic experience so far. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, somebody's asking about shortcuts for.
Oh my god! Yeah, I'm reading the suggestions in the chat stream, and they're making me smile.
Yeah.
That's good.
Guys, there is a shortcut for creating for quickly creating note. So Control N when you are in the sticky note.
When you are in sticky notes, yes.
Yeah.
N for new, or is it N for note?
Yeah.
It's the same keystroke no matter what you call it.
Yeah, it's N for notes. We actually localize the keyboard so it's not Control N in every language. When you're English, it's Control N. I don't recall for other language, but I know
really
shortcuts change based on the language that you have.
It does.
Yeah.
See,
like bold, italic, underline.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah.
Okay.
So
can I just ask a ridiculous question, right? And everybody that's out there watching this, that's looking at me as a Microsoft employee, is going to be like, does he really not know this? This is actually something I really did not know. Is that standard across everything because
Yeah.
How did I not ever think about this before, right? It's this whole concept of like, thinking globally and being inclusive and all this kind of stuff, right? It's one of the things that, we talk about a lot, and it means a lot, right? And it's simple things like that, because I use the keyboard in 2 languages, right?
Yeah.
Either English or Spanish sometimes, right? If I'm, trying to go back to high school when I actually took Spanish, right? But, there's, way more than just those 2 languages, right? We have 130 something languages, right? But it's not something that I consciously think about as like how many different, mapping of keys and all that kind of stuff. Like it's stuff like this that makes me appreciate just how awesome Windows is, but it's a reminder of how complex it can be.
Yeah.
And trying to do this and making it user friendly for everybody, so that they're not trying to adapt to somebody else's way of because not every language has the same keyboards, and not every language uses what we consider typical letters.
Yeah.
Right. And, especially when you get to like Asian languages where it's like symbols and things like that. Wow. Yeah. I'm just having one of those moments, right? It seems like every time we do a webcast, I have this genuine learning moment, which I will say selfishly, it's as much of a learning opportunity for me as it is for those that the folks out there that we're talking to. But
I think this is also a great part about our team. Like we're all pretty much international, so we do use different languages and stuff. So if you go into settings, you can see keyboard shortcuts in Sticky Notes, and if you change your display language, like we switch right away to a different language, and you see how these then would change. Like for example, search in English it's Control F, in Spanish it's Control B for like buscar or something.
Yeah.
So that also means Control B is not bold. In I don't know, Danish is...
Yeah, in Danish it's F for fat. That's how you say bold in Danish. But it means that there's no F for find, like Control F.
Yeah.
So instead, Danish uses Control B, and B doesn't have anything to do with search. It's just that B is available.
Yeah. What's also very cool is so I work on work on the text editor a lot, and there are some very interesting bugs, especially in Korean, because Korean is different than all the other languages.
Sure.
So it's actually cool. Like when I went down to Redmond, I could just sit with a OneNote engineer who is Korean, and he could just like explain to me how Korean actually works, because so far I've been kind of guessing.
If there's one course we should take, like foreign language course, it should be Korean.
Yeah, exactly. Korean is kind of one of the most interesting, kind of beautiful like scripts that you have, really, because you keep layering. Like you hit the next key, and if it can be combined with the previous key, it adds it. So you have then 2. And then you add a third one to it, and the symbol changes. And then you hit a fourth one, and it doesn't fit anymore. So you create a new key, a new character, and put that there, which then again can change again and all again. So it's really complicated, but it's also very beautiful.
Yeah. So like while you are typing, your previous characters constantly could change.
Yeah.
If these characters could be.
It's almost like compounding words in English, like changing
Yeah.
do not to don't.
Yeah.
So it's that's
Exactly.
So it makes it
because Japanese does that as well.
Japanese, I think, is more IME, so you kind of you hit multiple keys and then you submit this character. And in Korean, you press a key and this can change your previous character.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which makes your like coding for that actually pretty tough sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah. You know. And also like one of the great things about the team that is international makes it a little easier to work with these special cases, because like I remember a while ago we had some translation coming from the team that takes care of our translation, and I was reading the Farsi translations to see like if there's a mistake. Like, oh, that's wrong. We need to fix that. So like folks sometimes go through these to figure out like what are the problems, and it kind of helps us a lot to make sure that we're building something that is not only special for US or like for English.
Yeah.
It's actually good for everyone. So yeah.
That's
Or a typical thing is always like the length of strings that you put in your app. Like if it doesn't fit, like so German usually uses long strings, but it's actually not the longest. Like our names, now we have sticky notes in the header of the notes list, right, as a name, and this also gets localized. So it's notas rápidas in Spanish, notas adhesivas in Portuguese, memo in Italian, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I like the Italian one.
Wow, just memo.
Yeah, in German it's Kurznotizen, like short notes in one compound word, but it's not the longest one. Like German is actually not the longest, and there are some, I forgot what it was. We had a list and we sorted them by length, and like I think some African language.
Oh, there we go.
Oh my gosh, what are you guys doing here? Oh, you have Timbit donuts, okay, because all the cookies are gone. What a
I'm stuck.
It's
You're
the
stuck.
taco?
Go back. Exactly.
There you go. Now you can rotate.
Oh,
There we go.
wow. Hi, robot taco head key. And are these the Windows Insiders on mine?
Yeah.
I had no idea. Just walking by. I'm sure I didn't put lipstick on before coming over here. So what's going on, everybody?
We were talking about sticky notes. We're actually just having this conversation because I'm exposing my own ignorance about some things, right? Which I seem to do every single webcast.
Yeah, me too, dude. Welcome to. It means you have VP, Vice President capability.
We're talking about keyboard shortcuts and localization, and how Control N brought up a new note, but it's not the same in every language. And then I'm like, wait a minute. And so then it spilled over into bold and italic and all this kind of stuff and Windows functions, and we kind of spilled off into this conversation of how many different languages, what uses what, and switching back and forth, and Danish B and F are backwards because B is not assigned to anything, and F means bold, and it's just.
And then you think about mixed languages, like a lot of people use Marathi and English at the same time.
Yeah.
It gets even more complicated, right?
Yeah, and then we're talking about Korean where it's as it starts sandwiching characters together and they start changing and whatnot. I don't know. It's one of my personal downfalls, right? Because I use the keyboard in two languages, either English or Spanish, and you start getting out beyond that, and there's just so much other stuff, and it makes me appreciate both the complexity but the beauty of Windows and some of what it's capable of.
Well, you think about the scope of Microsoft.
Yeah.
Like 168 languages, I think, are the minimum base.
Yeah.
Right, and it goes beyond, and then there's dialects. It goes beyond that. I mean, Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, not the same thing, right? Yeah. I know, it's pretty awesome.
Many people are saying hi to you.
No cookies. I did bring cookies up for the Vancouver team, but they're gone, and you wouldn't be able to eat them remotely anyway.
Maybe a quick intro, and we told you kind of come up here. So if anyone had a question, they can ask from you.
Okay, sounds great. And by the way, so I come up roughly, so part of Notes and Tasks is in Vancouver. There's 4 main sites. And Vancouver has sticky notes and a lot of things around web, OneNote and rich web-based integrations. And we may or may not accidentally show some screenshots of.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
the
we
folks
might have shown some.
yeah, and I usually take the train up on a Sunday morning, so then I have time and I can spend a maximum time in office with the team. But the folks in the douane, the customs, the RCMP, are like every time they're like, "Do you have food?" I'm like, "Yep." Like, what do you have? Cookies? And I think they think I'm a smuggler. I'm like, no, but they're like, why? And I'm like, well, because, bring them up for the team. And then they're like, are you here to do work? And I'm kind of like, well, meetings? Anyway, so I'm sure I'm on their list. They just laugh helplessly.
Maybe.
Yeah, and SeaTac Airport is the same way. I open it up, and they're like, do we need to do the CT, the cookie test? The EAT test, I would have to go get my national security profile because I think it would just be hysterical. Anyway, okay. So sorry. Questions?
Oh, let's just see here.
Oh.
International diet terrorist.
Next time there's a cookie incident somewhere, you're going to be the first suspect.
Right. Well, and not browser cookies.
Laura, did you tell the RCMP to start using sticky notes?
Well, no, sometimes they do. They ask what group, and I say Notes and Tasks, and they're like, well, who is here? I talk about OneNote, sticky notes. There was one person because one time I had swag, I had capes. And the thing is, I've learned you never offer government officials free stuff.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know, maybe they have a OneNote page with some sticky notes on.
Laura, you're out of camera.
Oh, I'm out of camera. Sorry.
Yes,
That's probably
It's like right from edge of table to edge of table.
Yeah,
okay, yeah, sorry. I kind of don't sit. So no, sit down. No chair.
Yeah.
Okay. So my psychological advantage of height is now removed. I dressed up for everybody.
All right. Yeah, they are asking you about the
Do you have a sticky notes cape?
Do I have a sticky note?
Have you-
Not yet.
Is it going to be yellow with writing on it?
Honestly, we are talking about refreshing our swag. We're just about out. And having, notes and sticky notes and to-dos and OneNote in there is important. I don't know that we haven't quite had a plan. There's meetings to have a plan for a plan. But I don't, you guys have heard me say this, my personal dream would be to have a superhero outfit that you build up, sticky notes, to-do mask, maybe the eyes could be the O's. And then sticky notes could be like the gloves or the shirt or something. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
And once you use the whole suite, you've got the entire
Yeah, exactly. The problem is there's not too many people that wear that stuff in public. So the other thing we're talking about is, besides, there's the baby onesie. We're just about out. Sorry, Brandon. I know you wanted one for your dog. I think literally the last one. But pet capes.
Oh my
pet
gosh,
stuff,
yes.
because everybody walks
should
their
do that.
dogs, so we might as well make use of free billboard activity. Maybe pooper scooper bags.
I will take all of it. Keela will love it to death.
And also they're cheaper, right? You can probably get 4 to 8 pet capes out of one. Gotta manage. Ninja Cat, all the things. Gotta, maybe. Now I'm going to be hanging out with Casey Lemson at a recruiting trip in University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign next year. Miss Ninja Cat inventor. Maybe you can start putting little sticky, Ninja Cat using a sticky note.
Yeah.
Ninja Cat typing into a OneNote notebook. Ninja Cat crossing stuff off to do. I wonder if I knew anybody who might subscribe them who want swag from us.
I'm down. I can help with that.
Yeah.
Stickies and HoloLens.
And HoloLens. Oh, well, Reza, you may have done a hackathon project, right?
Who has done that before? We actually
If you are willing to pay us, we can talk. Because we're right now, we don't get up for less than 10 million MAU. 10 million, so make it worth our while.
Yeah, so that means everybody out there, you have to get at least 5 machines at home on this. Everybody needs to have 5 machines running this, right? It's got to be a thing.
Yeah. We actually had a hackathon. Was it last year? I think it was.
I've been 2 years.
2 years ago, yeah. That I hacked up some stuff to have sticky notes running on HoloLens. But you guys remember I talked about those old windowing specialty that we have. Those kind of make things a little hard. And then we had a round of interns a few months ago, actually.
So Pelle, like we actually flew out to Boston and we had a team working on sticky notes on HoloLens.
Yeah, for 3 months.
Yeah, there are a lot of learnings. So hopefully we work with the shell to make sure that these learnings actually come to reality, and then who knows, maybe we would have a sticky notes on HoloLens.
And everybody go out and buy a HoloLens.
But we're right, but just from a pure numbers point of view right now, like it's not, if this was just to say that this project's a labor of love and not a labor of business priorities.
Yeah.
Another great question they are asking about developers interfacing with sticky note, right? The SDK and all of that stuff.
Well, I think not yet. It is our plan. I mean, accidentally, I'm sure not on purpose, leaked screenshot of our strategy priorities a couple weeks ago has notes and tasks everywhere, right? First, though, we've got to get it stabilized, right? And know how it works across different environments, multi-account support, things like super security, EDP, enterprise data protection are quite complicated.
We got that question earlier.
That's okay. Intune support, like that shit is hard. Am I allowed to swear?
Well,
okay, bleep. That crap is hard. But it is our goal. Like first, we got to get it to just get it work right. Make it work right. Just throwing APIs over the fence, having worked on Windows for a long time, turns out not to just work. But we'd love to do that at the right time, right place. And the thing is, SDKs are products too, right? They have to be developed, prioritized, managed, and supported. And making sure that we can do that. But yes, our buddies in PAX, the developer evangelists, they're also under Joe Belfiore. Ask us about that.
We also have Scott here. Scott, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Scott. I'm the engineering manager here.
My boss.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, make Reza look good in front of Scott. Make Scott look good in front of me.
Comments.
Basically, Reza's my grandson and Scott is my son.
Yeah.
And then Pele and Dom are my great-grandchildren, which means they're getting nothing. Nothing.
The holidays are here and just, no.
In my family, the grandkids get all the love.
Oh.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Let's see. Reading through the questions and the comments here in the chat real quick. Used to remember texting a written note. Pen.
Pen option. Did you talk, Reza, about some of the things you are doing with Ramon in particular?
Yeah, we are actually just talking about it right before you arrived.
Yes.
Explaining how why we made some decisions back in RS1 about how the layout and windowing work, and now what we are doing and why we are making these changes, and they kind of explained a little about the work that they actually went and did in the shell team. It was a fantastic collaboration actually, like to have all of these teams come together and really focus on making sure we get some of these experiences as fast as possible. I think it was phenomenal to see.
Yeah. So through one Microsoft.
Yeah. To the old APIs, kind of in how restrictive some of this is. I don't know who noticed that Sticky Notes has a new process also running if you open Task Manager.
Oh,
there is one process.
Walking Cat is just taking every bell.
Yeah. We have a separate process for the sole purpose of setting the focus on a different window.
Yeah. So.
We won't need to be doing that with the new APIs.
Okay, and just to clarify my people integration, you mean being able to have notes attached to people, right? Which may or may not have been in our vision video when we set our master plan direction a year ago. Here's my problem, Reza. All these guys know. I really am a James Bond villain at heart. I really want to talk for about 2 hours how our master, 20-step strategy is going to dominate the world. And the problem with doing that is, the James Bond's escape. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on Swag, when we get some more, we all try to monitor it. I can tell you, though, if you can prove to me conclusively that you have signed up 100 new users to anything in Notes or Tasks, OneNote, Sticky Notes, or To-Dos, and you tweet at me, I'm pretty sure a box of cookies that have OneNote, Sticky Note, To-Do stamps And maybe some like lanyards or something may go. I mean,
we can also do some giveaways too.
That too. But I mean, and by the way, I do this personally. This isn't something Microsoft pays for. The FedEx people get spare cookies. It costs $10.95 to FedEx a box of cookies in the United States, and internationally, it's add a zero to that.
Yeah.
And there are countries, unfortunate, and they have to be FedEx because otherwise they're stale when they arrive. Unfortunately, if you're in Australia or New Zealand, or a couple other countries, like Australia and New Zealand are super restrictive on food imports because of agriculture, so it can't be done. I hope there's nobody in INS watching this, but I may have slips and stuff in people's suitcases, but it needs to be like shrink wrapped through the wazoo. There are other countries where they just can't be delivered in time. But I know Poland, Germany, Scandinavia, the UK, like the EU countries are good. I think I have shipped to South Africa. But I don't know about the rest of Africa. Antarctica, if you guys ever go there. Seriously, I will include. I'll send you with some.
If I go to North Africa,
can we plant a flag on Antarctica? A sticky notes flag.
There will be a sticky notes flag. There will be a Ninja Cat flag. Yeah. I will do a webcast from Antarctica.
Yes, Denmark is fine. I have shipped to Copenhagen before. But just understand, it's not even the baking. Like, it's over $100 US for each of these boxes, and I pay for it out of my own pocket. And I do about 1,000, let's see, deliveries of cookies. They might be a plate, they might be a box a year, and it's just a lot.
How much cooking you do? This is not a question here. That's on my mind.
Well, guess what? Cooking Tech Talk next Monday is going to talk about this. It's only internal, but maybe at some point we'll do an external version. Yeah. Everything you want to know about how the cookies crumble and more. Show me, you know what? Show me some dough. And we'll show you the behind the cookies.
Like bake cookies.
Is there any automation?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a whole kernel thing. Like I have a I would call it a 6 hyper-threaded dual proc CPU cookie processing unit.
Okay. Awesome.
Actually 4-threaded, but it's probably 1 big, 3 little. But anyway.
Physical threading or hyper threading?
Laura's cookie puns rise to the occasion.
You're a chip off the old cookie block, Jason. Brandon's like, I just transport me. Like, what happened?
Like, is this really happening right now?
I know.
Awesome.
I mean, you should see her when she tried to cross, like, between international boundaries.
We talked about it, yes.
Well, that first so we took a big trip because we have there's Vancouver, Berlin, and Hyderabad. Last December, we did a big trip to Hyderabad and then Berlin, and I almost missed it. It was a bad traffic day. And then they had to open up my suitcase, and the guy's holding up all the baggies of, like, what are these? And I'm like, white chocolate macadamia nut. Like, oh my God, he really thinks I'm running a drug smuggling business.
Are these special cookies?
Yeah, cookies, exactly.
They're coming from Washington.
Yeah. Does Jason need to his taco hat? 10,000 plus cookies a year. Yep. An average delivery unit is 18. It's either 24 small or 12 large. Just assume 50% distribution. Multiplied by 1,000 is actually 18,000 cookies a year.
You have to have like a Viking kitchen setup or something.
I have dual. My carpet is crap, but I upgraded I'm a gadget hound. It's like, do I need new carpet or do I need new
gadgets?
New gadgets, yeah.
All the gadgets.
Oh. On the dollars front, not all of those are shipped internationally. Yeah. I have a budget for that.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, back to sticky notes.
Yes.
Show perhaps any screenshots of what might be coming in other notes and tasks.
Yeah, I was actually just.
Let me flip back to the presentation.
It was just an accident.
Oh my.
There was no purpose to show off this Microsoft launcher. It just happened to be in the.
It's just in there.
It's just in there. Yeah, code complete. Hopefully shipping next quarter, right? Yeah. We're using it in dog food.
It's going into beta this week.
Oh my!
The taco hat speaks.
And I'm sure we didn't mention Cortana integration with to-dos that went out to 5,000 limited insiders last week.
I want that.
No. You want that? Yeah. Maybe one thing that the audience doesn't quite understand is yes, we're working on all these things, and why some of them are slow is anything that pertains to user data or consent is extra serious with GDPR in California, and also just from being a good company. So some things we have actually finished, but they aren't in your hands yet because we need to make sure we abide by.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so back to you, Reza.
There was actually one question by Mostio about integrations with To-Do and Sticky Notes. So, I think that's a question for you guys. What should that integration look like if you had ideas?
Yeah, the most important thing that exists for these integrations is to figuring out the right way of doing the integration, not just putting them together. Because ultimately our goal is to build a fantastic experience for you guys. So we do a lot of studies. We just sit in the room and smash our heads to figure out like what's the right way to do each of these integrations. And the one with for sticky notes and to do is particularly one of those ones that we are talking a lot about it.
Well, I mean, for me, I just simply would want to have one of my lists just be able to go in and pick a to-do list and have it show up in a sticky note on my desktop, so that I can have that always there, check it off. I mean, just the kind of the basic functionality of maintaining. If I wanted to do a lot more of the deeper stuff, I could do that in the app. But I want to be able to access it quickly from my desktop.
So you basically want a sticky list.
Pretty much.
Yeah, which, with the work that. Oh, thank you, Laura.
See you, Laura. Yeah.
So with the work that Dominic and the folks in Shell have been doing with these new APIs, now a sticky note, the To-Do app can actually leverage those to kind of build.
We don't actually get the donuts.
Well, you can't. You go outside.
To actually build lists that persist on the screen. So yeah, there are a lot of these stuff. Like there is another thing that some people ask, like there are notes inside a task. Should those notes be sticky notes or not? Or like, what if I write the task inside my note? How come that could become a task? So there are a lot of these things, and then we are trying to figure out like what's the right integrations that we can build with these two.
I guess for me, I would think that you'd start just off with the basic list, and then if you click on the task, it opens up the to-do app for the deeper stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a good
because like you don't want sticky notes to get too complex.
Definitely, yeah.
And it's not meant to replace. Like you want it to,
simple. Yeah.
If I'm going to spend time creating new to-do lists or new tasks with multiple steps, like I'm going to do that in the app. But like if I want to see my list of things that I need to accomplish today. Or over the next week, I want that. Like, I'd love to see that as a sticky note, and I just go click when I complete those things.
That's right.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the good ones that I think we probably consider at some stage.
And there are always different levels of integration, right? Like you can take some of the UI of one app and put it in the other app. You can also just say, hey, this thing is actually, it looks different, but it's powered by the same thing. So if you make a change here, it also changes there. So there's quite a bunch of options.
Yes. Yeah, that's pretty much how we did with Outlook. Like the reason that our notes shows up in Outlook is because we actually sync to the same place that they're storing their notes. So like when we didn't really build an integration so far for Outlook, it just works because we basically use the same foundation for both of them. Yeah. So those type of stuff also could come up with To-Do. We're trying to figure out all the right ways, and then we'll start building them. Yeah.
Well, there's a bunch of comments coming in.
Good suggestions here.
Right.
Yeah, and this of course, like this is captured, right? So in the video that pops up after the fact, we can go through and pull these out and share those, because I mean they're just kind of scrolling by faster than we can read them or whatnot. But there's a
and we got a robot PM over there.
He's into it too.
Yeah. Put it in the backlog.
Your backlog just tripled. Not that it wasn't big enough already, right?
Cool.
Windows information protection. Oh, hey.
Yeah.
It's funny because you're not the first person to mention that. Anyway, let's do this because I know we've got some comments here. We got some questions that I've taken. We've got some pre-submitted questions, right?
Also, shout out to Donovan L, who's actually heading our backend services. So he's reading the comments too.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Well, hello, Donovan L. When we get back to Redmond, I'll have to pop in and say hi.
Yeah.
So your presentation. I know you have a few more slides left. Let me switch back.
There's actually just about to finish.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
well, good timing.
You're done with leaks.
Well,
he leaked everything.
Well,
one more.
So
just one more.
Just one more.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, would this make sense to anyone?
This, I mean, to me, it looks like that would be an image inside of a sticky note.
Oh.
Like, I'm just, as a layperson who doesn't work on this product, that's how I would interpret what I'm seeing on the screen.
So this is something that...
It seems like there's no reaction on chat, so...
Yeah, like, nobody in there is excited.
Kill it.
Should we remove it, or should we keep working on it?
So, like taking a snip and dropping it right in a sticky? Like,
yeah.
I'm just... I see a bunch of no's in here, so... Everybody in the chat's like, are you reading the same chat as what we're typing in?
Okay, I'm going to stop with leaking. This was the last leak. Okay.
Okay.
Let's go back to the question.
All right. So let me get propped up here real quick. I have a quick thing to do on my machine over here so I can get the information. So everybody gets to stare at the Q&A slide for just a moment. All right. We are flipped over. Okay. Now, let's get back to this. All right. So I've got this popped up. I'm going to roll through the pre-submitted questions, right? To make sure we get those tackled for those who submitted early. And then we'll go through some of the other ones that I have taken down. All right. So first up, Cortana does not seem to pick up information from sticky notes any longer. What are the suggested settings? Also, I'm in Canada.
So our Insight engine in general is going under some dramatic change. Oh, I thought that was the last leak.
Last leak.
This is the last leak. There's no leak after this. Oops. So we have a team that is actually working on some fantastic new ideas about how we can make nodes smarter. So our whole Insight engine is going under some massive changes. At the same time, we also suddenly realized, we have a lot of users that we did not anticipate. So Bing is starting to throttle us. So we are working with those at the same time of working on a new service. And I think this new service might be very exciting for everyone. So stay tuned. And Cortana and Sticky Notes will become even closer to each other.
Okay.
Yeah. In general, insights need to be enabled. So in settings, go to enable insights, switch the toggle button, and hopefully, if you're internet connected, you should see something pop up. Yeah, we're going to have some documentation to actually explain which insights are supported.
Yeah. And also, we are working to make some of them actually offline, so you don't have to have them connected all the time. So that would be also great.
Yeah.
So some of it available within the app, some of it available, like I'm assuming on like Docs, like Microsoft Docs.
Yes, we are actually starting a Docs repo, and we're moving all of the documentation there, so that's going to come soon as well.
Awesome.
And I think that would be also helpful for people who the IT admins and the people who like do a lot of enterprise management, because we are adding the guidelines for different things there. Okay. And I think that would be a great stop for them. Yeah.
Perfect.
I like someone saying Alexa and the Sticky Note. So soon when Sticky Note, or one day when Sticky Note has like some developer APIs, then you guys can also like anybody can just build a plugin or a skill as they call it in Alexa, and then you basically could be able to develop.
What do you think about Alexa integrations and sticky notes?
Sounds like a good idea. I wonder if someone already hacked on that.
Yeah. I wonder if that's been done.
It's important to us.
We do a lot of these hacks once in a while. Like I remember Ramon wanted to like hack something for his watch.
Exactly.
So yeah, there are a lot of these crazy things that we do once in a while, and when some of them becomes a good quality, we actually will start putting it in the products.
Yep.
All right, sorry, I was responding to a thing in the chat. All right, so next up, will you develop an independent... Hold on, wait a minute. Sorry, I got to parse this question. It's a... Okay. Will you develop... I think the question is... are you going to develop an independent sticky note app outside of OneNote on Android? I think I've asked that correctly.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned before, we are trying to, instead of taking you to note-taking experiences, we're bringing note experiences to everywhere else that you are doing work. And that's why, for example, we're going to Launcher. When you go to Launcher, your note is right there. And that's the approach that we are taking, taking notes everywhere. And that's why we haven't really tried to build a separate app, because then you have to go download a new app. And the other problem with those also is now you need to have more real estate on the actual devices, because you're downloading multiple apps in them. So we are not thinking about it right now that way, but we are taking the notes to other experiences that you have in your devices, and of course also on web.
Yeah, so our focus will be, for iOS and Android, the focus will be sticky notes in OneNote.
Yes, yeah, and Launcher.
All right.
Sticky notes and timeline. There's a couple people voting for that.
Yeah. So that was also something that we wanted to build a while ago, and we couldn't really, and it was partly because when we did those API design in RS1, there was no timeline, so we didn't consider that back then. But as a part of switching to these new APIs, now we can actually leverage a lot of capabilities of the OS, so stay tuned.
Okay.
Someone is asking about the private sticky note, like the ones where you basically put important information on your sticky note. He's saying he's using his password, putting the password on the sticky note. So what do you guys think about this? They want it to be a hidden sticky note.
Yeah, we have been talking about it inside the team.
Next question.
I let Keith answer to this.
Yep.
Keith, go ahead.
Keith's I don't want to talk about this.
Yeah, but with the new model that we have, the hub, you actually get to pick and choose which nodes are actually stuck on your desktop. So you just close that node. It's not visible.
Yeah, the robot has spoken.
Okay.
So in general, we want to keep sticky notes as simple as possible. That's kind of our main thing.
Yeah.
But we also want it to be as useful as possible, right? So if we see a need that we have to somehow meet, we're going to do it. And we like arguing in our team about stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
See, in the chat, Mark Keshev, hopefully I pronounced that right, hinted at exactly kind of where my train of thought was going, right? It's oh yeah, you just a way to lock something down. Because this is, I did not see their backlog, right? I'm just kind of, I'm not actually forecasting anything, but imagine a world where
it's on the backlog.
Okay, well it's on the backlog. If you've got this whole family type setup where you can share notes to your kids and all this kind of stuff, right? And they can see access to your stuff, but you don't want them. There's just you can imagine some of the, and this is kind of that. How complex do we make this, right? Versus how is this tool being used to improve the lives of the users who are putting it to good use in their daily life or work life and whatnot, right? Yeah. So right, I'm not saying everything I just said. I have no idea, right? I'm just kind of throwing this out there as think about the broad scope of this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. All right, so next up, and this has actually been.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was going to say I plucked a couple questions out of the chat stream earlier too. So there are a few about to-do integration. We talked about that a bit, and I just wanted to reiterate that we're part of the same team, and we're really spending a lot of time trying to figure out how to do that integration just the right way. So we appreciate the feedback. There was one from Cadenza, which was about startup time.
Yeah, that's actually one of the ones that I grabbed.
Slow.
Cool, yeah.
And another point I wanted to make there is that we're spending a lot of time in our current release working on performance, stability, and another thing we didn't really touch on today, which is accessibility. And so just a little proud moment, I'm going to robot pat myself on the back here. We have actually hit one of the highest levels of accessibility certification at the company with sticky notes.
Wow. So
fundamentals like stability and accessibility are really big for us.
Yeah.
That's seriously something to be proud of.
Yeah.
Congratulations, that's some serious work right there.
That's right.
Nicely done.
Ship24 asked about making notes stay on top. And I think Ramon alluded to this a little bit earlier.
Right.
So that's something that we actually have prototyped and feels really good. Once we have the new windowing APIs in, we'll be able to do that type of feature, which is really great because it actually makes sticky notes on the PC feel more like an analog sticky note, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, like right now with the model that we have that I mentioned, like all of the nodes come together and go back. It means that like if we make one of them, like we can't really make them always on top unless we do some crazy hacks that we actually have done. But it's not super stable. But when we switch to these new APIs and we become like a normal app, then we have a lot more opportunities to actually try to make them right.
Yeah.
And then snip into stickies is one that I actually have drawn a couple of pictures of, and I've been talking to the snipping PMs about. And that one seems awesome. And I mean, we're really excited to integrate with Windows wherever we can. So great suggestion.
Beautiful. So a few more here from the pre-submitted stuff. Could sticky notes add tab support? I know that popped up in the questions today, right? Like, and the taco hat laughs. Chuckle, chuckle. Let's see here.
What is tab support?
Isn't that what we already kind of have?
No.
You can think of it as having a sticky note with multiple tabs on a single sticky note.
Is it that
Or is it like keyboard tab
character?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, tab.
I thought it was tab.
I presumed like on Edge where you have tab browsing,
Oh, okay.
like tab sticky notes. That's how I interpret the question.
Okay.
That's how I interpreted it.
Yeah.
That's what. Because right now we don't also like when you press tab while you're typing, it actually goes through navigation of the elements in the UI. So it might, that's what I thought. But
Yeah.
Okay.
If for our insiders, it's they want tabs everywhere, so
I
I'm
see.
thinking it's tabs.
Yep.
So by tab support, are we talking about tab shell, or are we talking about tabs in like
Like
tab-
micro
like
sticky notes?
a sticky note with
tabs.
all the, instead of having
Yeah.
like 12 on the screen,
Yeah.
just one with the 12 tabs.
Yeah, we haven't.
I'm going to say that's just.
I'm not saying we haven't
It's just
thought
a
about
note.
it.
It's like OneNote, right?
Well, I mean, one of the things, WP Hans made a comment that I completely agree with, which is one of the things we need to do is keep it. Wait, did I say the wrong person? Hold on. It wasn't. It was Scott AWD. Sorry. You know, one of the things that we're trying to do is keep it clean and do the right things, to your point. And so when we start complicating something as kind of simple to use as sticky notes, it's no longer simple to use. And that's a big part of the value that we want to bring to people. So
True.
we're always looking at how we can make the right improvement, but keep it really approachable, keep it really simple and understandable.
Yeah. So yeah, the answer to that question seems like, hey, if you want tabs, use OneNote.
Yeah.
That is another answer for that question.
We actually had our design team just do a big kind of sprint with different explorations, and there are some crazy ideas, and I think I've seen also similar ideas. Not saying we're going to do it, but there are ideas.
Like round sticky notes and triangle sticky notes.
Really
What?
crazy, interesting idea.
No.
No. Group sticky notes, right? So if you think about how you use Post-its, you tend to take 5 or 6 of them, you put them in a stack, and that stack of Post-its kind of relates to a common theme.
Yeah.
And so those types of explorations I think are really interesting.
That's cool. Now that would be really cool.
Yeah.
But then also like circles, sticky notes.
Come on, you need hexagonal because the bees figured this out for the rest of the planet. You build hexagonal ones and then they just lock together.
It's almost like you should. It's almost like
Charging you.
it's almost like you should be able to buy additional like sticky note shapes in the store or something.
Oh,
Snowman for Christmas.
hey,
Yeah.
in-app purchases.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get back to the questions, or else we're never going to get through all these.
I see there is so many great questions.
I know,
on
right?
the-
That's
Yeah. So let's take the drag and drop, for example. People are asking, like, can you drag and drop the take note? Dom, do you want to go?
Yeah.
Not today.
Okay, but in the future?
There might have been some hacks, and there might be options to do a less hacky version in the future.
Yep. Yeah. So with the new windowing APIs that we talked to you guys about is going to be to allow us to do more of these kind of experiences, including the drag and drop and so on. Yeah.
awesome. So there was a couple questions earlier, like related to like the enterprise theme, right? And this one is: will Windows information protection support come into this app?
It will come at some stage. We have a lot of things to figure out. Like some of the stuff we already do. So like controlling if insights are enabled or not. Like you can do it with MDM. And we're bringing these features up because, of course, enterprise customers are very important as well. But at the same time, we want to figure out what's the right way, because like when you start for example, if you have a enterprise-owned node and also you have a personal information, the transferring information between these two should be very careful, but at the same time, it should be very intuitive.
True.
Like if you copy something in a node and it doesn't paste inside Notepad, you will say like, why doesn't copy paste work? So there are a lot of these details that we're trying to figure out to make sure that we're building the right experience.
Sure.
But we'll definitely figure them out, and it will come. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a syncing question. Is there a way to sync iPhone OneNote sticky notes, that's a mouthful, without shutting the app down and opening it back up?
That's actually, I heard that, I think that's a bug because our sync is, when it works, it's fantastic.
Mhm.
I think there's probably a bug there that we can easily fix it. Yeah, we talked to the folks that building the experience for iOS, and I think that should go away very quickly.
Yep.
Okay.
That wasn't the intentional design to sync by closing the app.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So this one's just one word with the question mark. Fonts.
Ooh.
Oh.
That's a big can of worms.
How many?
So let me go back a little in history.
All of them.
Yeah, when we started that Project Plum that I talked about a while ago, we had a lot of focus to figure out what we are building is working fantastic in mobile devices. And when you're taking notes in a mobile phone, you don't really think about font size or like pick up which font you want to write. You just write it, and it's the standard font everywhere. So we started with that model in the desktop as well. And then we got a lot of feedback on the insiders, especially during RS1 and RS2 time frames, and we did a lot of tweaks. For the font size, we actually now have an idea about how we can incorporate it into the app without making it too complex. So hopefully that will come in one of our next releases. For the font face, we are actually part of the exploration that Dominic mentioned. Our designers are doing some like crazy explorations about what we can do to do like a complete visual refresh for the app. And choosing a different font face has definitely came up in that. So we're gonna figure it out what's the right way it is, and then yeah, it might come. Who knows?
All right. Summarize to this question: sticky notes and fluent design.
Sticky notes and fluent design. That is also a tricky one because like sticky notes is such a colorful app with very strong colors.
Mm-hmm.
We tried making it like translucent, especially with the hub part of the app to like make sure that like the colors come through. But in the end, we're not convinced that that looks actually better than the solid ones that we have done.
Okay.
But at the same time, our designers are actually working with the design in the Fluent team and trying to figure out what's the next version of Fluent and kind of bringing those to our design. So some really cool stuff might come up.
See if they're doing anything that might kind of roll down to this. Okay. And I made a funny comment about this earlier. When can we expect to get redesigned notes in the Outlook client? It looks like Office XP.
Yeah,
I agree. Older than that.
yeah, it is. So like
we showed the add-on earlier, right?
Yeah. Let me go back.
And so, yeah, that's actually a standard Office add-in. And so when that's in the add-in store, it'll actually work not just with OneNote. It can work with Outlook. You could even use it with Word, Excel, and PowerPoint if we decide that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be the first way to get the same experience, same level of formatting, same level of fidelity for your notes in other Office apps. Now, when you're looking at the Win32 Outlook Notes module, that's kind of a longer-term conversation. We need to figure out what to do there. But I mean, especially on the Android beta forum, we've gotten a ton of feedback of people going like, wow, we like having formatting, too bad none of it syncs back. Or if and when we were to do something like add images, which someone may or may not have shown a screenshot of, we would want to make sure you can get to those there as well. So,
okay.
So that's our first step.
All right. Somebody said, "Can I have spell check?"
Spell check.
Yeah, somebody wants spell check and sticky notes. I don't necessarily think it necessarily needs a long answer, but hey,
Yeah.
Spell check and sticky notes, and they actually filed feedback on it already.
I think we should.
Like I have a link to the feedback. Okay.
Yeah.
I will share that with you.
Mm-hmm.
So there's actually what's really funny is because this is a publicly shared doc. like as I'm working through this, like more questions are showing up in the list. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I was like, I didn't see that when I opened the doc. Let's just see here. How about a full white mode with colored navigation bars, kind of like the full dark mode, because some of us prefer the white mode. And there's another question that popped up later that was like, now that Windows has, there's dark mode and we just, launched light mode into the Insider preview, I think that's kind of the vein that this question's going. There's a couple of them like that.
Yeah, our designers are constantly working with the designers in Windows, and we will try to find a way to make them work really well for the OS. So I think we will definitely do some stuff there as well. We'll figure it out.
Okay. Well, we kind of covered this one with like the whole. I'm going to ask this one, right? Because I don't know if the intent of the person who asked it was different from like password protected. But is there a way to mark certain notes as local only? Not necessarily password protected, but just
they want some of their sticky notes to sync, and then others they want to be able to mark as local and not sync.
I see. There's some complexity with these. Like we also have been thinking about supporting multiple accounts at the same time, and this kind of is similar as like local account and a cloud account. The main challenge that exists is how we make this easily visible to the user, like while you're taking note, what type of note it is, to make sure like when you go to another device, there is no confusion. I think this would be challenging, and it goes to that type of question, and we need to figure it out. We don't have a good answer right now.
I mean, I think even in current like mail apps, right? When you add multiple accounts, you already start sometimes like send email, but you said like, oh, which email did I send this from? What's my default one when I create like I want to compose a new message? Which email I'm going to choose it to be sent from, and so on. So I totally get this. Like the way we should present this to the user is going to be to make it successful or very hard.
The trick is keeping it simple while making it flexible.
Yeah, exactly. Because like we want to make sure that when you guys want to take a note, that becomes as smooth and fast as possible, and you don't need to think about like where should I store this, which account do I have to do. We want to try to remove all these questions, so like when you go there, it's just ready for you to start taking notes, and that's why we have to think about problems like this.
Awesome. Well, look, I know we've got a ton of stuff that has popped up in the chat. All right, there's no way that I could capture everything that came through. Obviously, there's a lot of good feedback. Right, we'll go through, make sure that you have access to all of those. Right, we are pretty much at the bottom of the hour, and I don't want to take up more time from you all than we have already. But I got to say, number one, huge thank you to everybody sitting at the table, and Laura who came and went already. Right, and to the robot Taco Head for popping in remotely. Thank you. This has been both educational for me, right, as well as a whole lot of fun. I hope it has been a good use of your time. Really appreciate you making the time to sit down.
We will have to definitely come back.
Yeah,
sure. This was fantastic, and thank you so much for like taking all the time to come and bringing this hardware. You guys, I think you had an episode on it, right?
Yeah.
Hardware.
Yeah.
Bringing all of this stuff with you guys and spending time for us. This was fantastic, and we always want to be more engaged and know what's going on the top of your mind. So maybe you should do more of these.
Yeah,
right.
We will. Hey. We'll be back.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for your time too. I wanted to say I appreciate all the feedback, and please go to Feedback Hub. We don't get nearly enough there, and it's way better than store feedback. So leave it there. We will answer. I will answer. It's super helpful.
And we appreciate you guys too.
Yeah, thank you so much for being with us.
The tech stack is...
Ramon, I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Taco Head.
C#, UWP, compiled .NET Native. We use some C++ in some places.
With a hint of Redux.
With a hint, and we pretty much built Redux for .NET.
Let's end there. Yeah.
So, Aniel, I hope that answers your question.
And then we should just quickly close out by saying that Jason and I and our team will be out for the rest of the week for Thanksgiving.
Yep.
There's no new flights this week.
Correct.
And then we don't currently plan on doing a webcast in December.
Womp womp. I know. You know, heartbreaking. Between a ton of Microsoft folks being in and out from vacation, as well as timing with some other travel that we have planned. Not currently planning to do a webcast next month. If that changes, I will announce it. But at least at this point in time, we will skip over December and we'll be right back at it come January. So
who knows? Maybe.
Yeah. Hey,
Jason and I will pop up online, and then of course we're doing an Ignite tour where members of our team are going to be going to various locations around the world.
Yep.
I will be going back to London, and then maybe Berlin. I don't know where I'm going. I know I'm going to London, so I'm going someplace. This guy's going to what? Singapore and Australia.
Singapore's new to me, but I would go. Donna and I had talked about Australia or whatnot, but if Singapore's on the list, let's do this. All right. Anyway.
Amsterdam, and Sydney.
Oh, I'm going to... Sweet! Yes! Okay, all right. So
clearly we got to figure out. We have to figure out our schedules. But Ignite the tour is a thing, and we will be at a lot of these events, which should be really, really fun.
Yes, we need sticky notes for these things. Yes, I need sticky notes. All right. Well, we're going to close out here. Again, thank you all for tuning in. Really appreciate the time. The video on demand will be up later. I'll get that link sent out. If you haven't watched this live, right, you'll get it later. Anyway, thanks again. Enjoy the holidays wherever you may be and however you may celebrate. We will be in touch soon. And as always, thank you for being insiders. We appreciate it.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.